Interesting facts about famous people.
Ten best spaghetti western movies. Okay, I've been talking and thinking about this video for some time. Whether you love them or hate them, they ain't going away. There's no denying their impact on the western genre. There probably wouldn't have been a Clint Eastwood, Cleef and more if not for this genre catapulting them to fame. The spaghetti western differentiates itself from traditional westerns with various quirks and qualities. Here are 10 of the best. If you like this video, come and see my other videos on my channel. The link is in the description. Apologies up front for any mispronunciations of names.
Who are you, Frank?
Sergio Leone and the work he did with Clint Eastwood changed the landscape of westerns forever, as well as cinema worldwide. After the success of A Fistful of Dollars, a subgenre was born, the spaghetti western. The films born from this genre represented a now past era of filmmaking. The genre differentiates itself from traditional westerns with its own quirks and qualities. Spaghetti westerns were usually made in Italy's legendary Cinecittà studios on a low budget with international crews and performers. Due to having international crew members, as well as standards of Italian cinema at the time, performers spoke several languages, but all dialogue was overdubbed in post-production. These films have an entirely unique energy and provide an engaging outsider's perspective for the much mythologized American frontier. Let's start with one of the much celebrated spaghetti westerns, Django, 1966. Those less versed in westerns might not realize that there was a Django before Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx, starring Franco Nero and directed by Sergio Corbucci. 1966's Django marks the first entry in a series of films, although technically only one official sequel. There are more than 30 unofficial sequels that evoke the same style and ideas as the original. One of Nero's more notable appearances in recent years was in Django Unchained, where he has a small cameo that winks at his original portrayal as Django. Although the film is slightly lesser known, its legacy has lived on and inspired many more westerns. Campaneros, 1970. Sergio Corbucci returned to direct another film starring Franco Nero, Campaneros, an action comedy western. Features several spaghetti western stars, including a score written by Ennio Morricone. In the film, a Swedish arms salesman and working-class Mexican form an unlikely alliance to rescue a revolutionary professor from the US Army. Full of political subtext and boisterous action, Campaneros wears its spaghetti western title well. Most will be familiar with this one, My Name is Nobody, 1973. Starring Terence Hill and Henry Fonda. My Name is Nobody is a 1973 comedy spaghetti western directed by Tonini Valeri. Nobody, played by Terence Hill, is a mellow gunman who tries to convince his idol, played by Henry Fonda, to take on a gang of criminals. My Name is Nobody is a unique spaghetti western in that it was overwhelmingly shot in the United States. A majority of spaghetti westerns from the 1960s to the 70s were shot in southern Italy, Spain, and in Cinecittà studios. In that sense, My Name is Nobody is more reminiscent of traditional American westerns. Again with Terence Hill, They Call Me Trinity, 1970. Written and directed by Enzo Barboni, the story is a classic western tale of a pair of gunmen defending a small community from bandits. Considered to be Terence Hill's best cowboy outing for its balance of humor and engaging action, the film was such a success in Italy and worldwide that it spawned a series of similar films with They Call Me in the title, as well as an official sequel titled Trinity is Still My Name. Duck You Sucker, 1971, also known as A Fistful of Dynamite, a western directed by the legendary Sergio Leone, with a score by Ennio Morricone. The film is considered to be the second entry into Leone's Once Upon a Time trilogy. Duck You Sucker marks Leone's final time directing a western. and it is often overlooked by fans of the genre. The story takes place during the Mexican Revolutionary War, following a Mexican outlaw and an Irish veteran of the American Revolution. The Great Silence, 1968. The Great Silence is considered by many to be director Sergio Corbucci's masterpiece. Unreleased in the United States until 2001, the film is bleak, dark, and deeply political. Controversial upon release for its brutally allegorical nature, the film has earned a strong cult following in recent years. The plot is concerned with a mute gunslinger who defends a widow and a group of outlaws from bounty hunters and a corrupt banker. With its many subversive qualities, The Great Silence has had strong influence on future westerns, both in style and subject matter. A favourite of many, A Fistful of Dollars, 1964. A Fistful of Dollars paved the way for an entire generation of Italian filmmakers trying to make it big overseas. Not only did this film set a new trend, but it also breathed new life into the genre of westerns and launched Clint Eastwood's career as an icon of action cinema. The film's story takes cues from Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo and follows a lone wanderer who stumbles upon a gang war in a small town. Through his cunning, trickery, and of course, gunslinging, the man with no name frees the humble populace from lawless tyranny.
See, my mule don't like people laughing. It's the crazy idea you're laughing at him.
And following up with For a Few Dollars More, 1965. A year after the massive success of A Fistful of Dollars, Sergio Leone followed up with an ambitious sequel, For a Few Dollars More. The budget is bigger, the stakes are higher, and the villain is more villainous than ever, as played by Lee Van Cleef. Sandwiched between the first of the trilogies and the most well-known final entry, For a Few Dollars More, is unfortunately underappreciated for its brilliance. The film has a stronger and more realised style than A Fistful of Dollars, as well as a tighter plot than The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968. Considered to be Sergio Leone's most epic Western outing. With its massive budget provided by Paramount Pictures, the film has an immense level of detail and an epic scale that is to this day surpassed by few other films. Simply put, the film plays out a multi-level conflict, a land battle surrounding the construction of a railroad, and a revenge story centered around a cold-blooded assassin. Though the film received middling reviews upon release, since then it has been cited as a major influence on modern-day filmmakers. And finally, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966, goes beyond just being a great spaghetti western, widely considered to be the all-time greatest western. Its imagery, sound, and performances represent some of the most recognized pieces of pop culture. By his third entry in the Dollar Trilogy, Leone has perfected his directorial style. Its atmosphere and energy are hypnotizing, featuring beautiful landscapes, emotional close-ups, and tense gunfights. Its influence is evident across all genres of films around the globe. A must-watch, not just for the fans of Western, but for any lover of movies and filmmaking. Again, apologies for any mistakes with mispronunciations of names. I'm doing my best. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate likes, shares, and subscribers. They help me a lot. Also hit the notification button to get my new videos. Bye for now.